So why is it better to be awake than happy right now? Well, we're going through unprecedented change right now, which means we're out of our comfort zones and on a steep learning curve that will pay off if humanity stays focused on the prize, the golden age that's coming, if you believe in that, or are open-minded to that. And times like this cause many people to reevaluate what life is really about, where many people start thinking, is the chase for external contentedness and security really giving me what I want, or is it costing me too much? And maybe the promising real driver is about being awake and alive and living from more authentic values. Let's explore. Hi, I'm Carla Rieger, and I think there is a confusion about why we have these human lives that we have. Perhaps we are sold a bad mind story somewhere down the line about what life should be about, that it's about being happy, and that the way to be happy is to look a certain way, or have a certain amount of money, or to own certain things, or to have people think about you in a certain way, to have certain kinds of relationships. And if you don't look that way, or have that money, or own those things, or have people look at you that way, or you're not in those relationships, then you can't be happy. So clearly that mind story is not very beneficial, and yet it still runs a lot of people, even people who think it's not running them, because often it's going on subconsciously. You only notice it by the choices you make and the results you get. Have you ever chased after a goal that you thought would make you happy, and you get it and you're happy for like half an hour or maybe a day, and then after that you just feel the same way you did before? Now, I've talked about this on other episodes from a few angles, but in this episode I want to challenge you to have it go deeper into your consciousness. This understanding of what it means to be human, which I believe is to be an alive, awake, aware person living on purpose, finding meaning in your life. And I think times like this really call for that kind of reevaluation of what life is all about. Because trying to be happy based on external situations like that can rob us from living a life where we truly expand and evolve and fulfill on something we may or may not yet be conscious of. And by happy, I mean, that state of contentedness, comfortableness, where you feel secure and safe, as opposed to equating happiness with inner joy, ecstatic feelings, and excitedness. I'm talking about where you are happy because your external reality is conforming to what you want it to be. But what many humans do, at least in Western societies, is that they go through life trying to figure out what they need to accumulate, do, act, associate with in order to land at this place called happiness, where they are promised they will live happily ever after. And you can see that as a societal bad mind story woven throughout the stories we consume, the media, the social media stories that we consume. Of course, running below the surface under that sense of happiness, once you get the thing, usually comes fear. It's the fear that it could go away at any moment. The money, the health, the security, the home, the reputation, the job, the looks, the health, the freedom, the relationships. Poof, it could all just disappear in an instant. And of course, this last year has perhaps been a testament to that for many people in certain ways. Through no fault of your own, it's gone, that thing that was making you happy, or it changed in a way you didn't expect. So if you only allow yourself to be happy if you have those external things, you are clearly a victim of circumstances. And of course, it is only you allowing you to be happy or not. It's all about the thoughts you're choosing to focus on. But just for fun, let's imagine that there is a land of happily ever after. Everybody's happy, all the time. You're just happy with everything in your life. No reason to change anything, no reason to do anything, no contrast, nothing that ignites you inside because you're just content with what is. Now you may think, well, that sounds amazing. And maybe you've had times like that in your life and it was great and you needed it. And that's good. But has your whole life been like that? Has anyone's life been like that all the way through so far? Likely not. Maybe that's because it's not supposed to be that way. Maybe the point of our life isn't to land up at Happinessville and just be content all the time where there's no contrast, nothing to actually tell you when you really are happy because it's just that way all the time. It's like the fish who lives in water can't really appreciate being in water because she's never been out of it. So if the point of our life is to grow and evolve and to explore, that requires stretching our edges, going on adventures, testing our mettle, being in a state of uncertainty at times, changing, letting go of the old, going through seasons of change where things flower and it's green and it's wonderful and there's this harvest, but then it all goes away for a while and then it comes back. And what if we need all that to actually produce something of value? And by value, it could mean an external thing like write a book or build a piece of furniture, but it can also mean raise a healthy child or become a better version of yourself or affect the world just by having a great attitude and a compassionate heart in the things that you do and the people you interact with, or even just how you're thinking and feeling when you're alone. Some people do believe that thoughts are things. They are the building blocks of our external reality, and with the right conditions, those thoughts become that reality for good or bad. So good thoughts, therefore, often equate to a good reality, and lots of bad thoughts, if thought often enough with the right conditions, can equate to a bad reality that you don't want. For example, I was learning tennis back in my 20s. I'd been taking lessons like 3 days a week over the summer for a few weeks. And I remember when I hit the ball badly or lost a game, I would get very upset with myself, and my game continued to not improve and often would get worse. And then I heard about this book, The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galway, which was about monitoring and changing your thoughts before, during, and after you play tennis to improve your game. I read it over one long weekend. My game on Friday versus on Tuesday was massively different. If I hit the ball badly, I held this neutral, okay thought about it. If I lost a game, same thing, no big deal. I focused only on when I hit the ball well. I watched what my opponent was doing that was working and kind of tried to mimic it. And I played better and better and better as the week went on. By the end of the week, my instructor says to me, "What changed for you over the weekend? Were you practicing a lot more?" I said, "No, I read this book." Held up the book. "All that changed were my thoughts." And she laughed because she knew about the book. See, those thoughts became things. The things in this case was the ability to play the game in a much better way. So now back to the aware versus happy topic. Of course, you can choose to be happy with whatever life brings. Like you can be happy about everything that's going on in the world, personally and globally. So someone steals from you, lies to you, maybe abuses you, and you just decide to be okay about it all because that's your modus operandi. You're the happy person. Or the lying, stealing, and abuse is happening to others or happening globally, but you won't have any motivation to evolve or change or challenge existing circumstances because then you might not be happy for a while. See, I chose to get better at tennis because I was unhappy about not being good at it. But instead of staying unhappy about not playing well, I learned what it took to become better, the inner game in my mind and the outer game using lessons and practice. So contrast is a motivator. If I was born a good tennis player, like I literally walked onto the court the very first time and I was like Billie Jean King at the top of her game, what motivation would there be to improve? I'm sure the first time she batted around the ball, she sucked at it. Now, on the other side of the coin, you find people who are addicted to misery, who look for as many ways to suffer as possible. Maybe not consciously, but unconsciously. It's what they're used to. It's where they feel comfortable. They're kind of happy being unhappy. For them, the glass is always half empty. You know those people, they're sitting under a palm tree with a lovely drink, beautiful weather, looking out an amazing view, relaxing, but start looping on something, anything that will get them back to an agitated state. Oh, those seagulls are so loud. Now, I've been that type of person, I know. As I've said on other episodes, my father was known as the beacon of doom. Always looking how to turn any situation into something bad. Love to complain, love to look at things from the glass half empty. So I learned from the best, but I grew out of it, thankfully. So if you have that tendency towards being a beacon of doom, or have one of those people in your life, it does help to know that you're a thought away from happiness anytime you want. What you focus on grows. Exercising your ability to choose your thoughts, choose the good thoughts over and over and over again, just reroute your thinking to what you want instead of what you don't want, will change your life forever for the better. But that is not to say that the point of our lives is to land there and stay in contentedness land forever. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you value your awakeness, your aliveness, and your growth more than you value being content, comfortable, safe based on outside circumstances, because you know you can create content, comfort, safety inside you. And you know that if you wait for it from outside, that's when you can get stuck, feel dead inside, asleep to the truth of your life, and very off purpose. Now, even if you have an intellectual awareness of that, you can still get stuck. I know I have. Say you ventured out into the land of awakeness, aliveness, where you're challenging yourself, growing, learning, and it gets nice and uncomfortable. It's so easy to pull back, to quit. I'll go back to that just a bit later. And you go back into the land of happily ever after. Just for a while, you tell yourself. And then the days go by, and the weeks, and the months, and the years. And you look back and you go, oh, I'm so stuck. But there's no time like the present to choose to get unstuck. Because have you ever noticed there are almost no stories that start with, and they lived happily ever after, and then the story begins? And it's about how nothing new or exciting or gritty or challenging or magical ever happens to the characters. You would put that book down or turn off that movie pretty soon after starting. Same with your life. You are the character, the player in your life, but also the spectator of your life. So are you boring yourself with how life has become? And if that's true, if you really admit to yourself that in some ways you are bored by your life, uninspired by your choices, maybe even ashamed of how you're being, because you're chasing external sources of being happy, content, secure, safe, comfortable, I invite you to explore that your life has pathways available to you right now that would no longer be boring, that would instead make you inspired by your choices, would make you alive with possibility, would awaken you in a way you've never been before. And sometimes you'll feel deliriously happy because of that. And sometimes you won't because of that. But you're no longer trying to paint over life with one false color, but you're wanting the true spectrum of colors of what life could offer you and is meant to be. Yes, there might be some negative emotion, loneliness, pain, failure, mistakes, humiliation even, confusion, loss of things you once held so dear. But the payoff is this awake, alive feeling of being on purpose, feeling fully human. What I've noticed as I've observed the world and the people in it and clients and myself and my friends and my colleagues is that this human life is filled with contrast on purpose. The goal is not to eliminate negativity and badness. The goal is to use the contrast, the good and the bad, the balance of both of those in order to evolve to the next version of ourselves, to unify those opposites, to use them as an engine for creative growth, to keep moving forward so your life keeps flowing, the creativity and wisdom flourish, so you become like the Sea of Galilee, which is full of fish and plant life because it has rivers flowing into it and out of it, versus the Dead Sea, where nothing living can grow because there are no inflows and no outflows, and that's why it's dead. So when you ask yourself what you want, be careful to not just default to, well, I just want to be happy. Because being happy relative to what else is possible in your life is easy, as long as you're talking about it from an inner game perspective. It's often just a couple of thoughts here and there, and then you focus on them over and over again, which helps you believe them. Then boom, happiness grows within you and you have complete control over it no matter what happens in the outside world. This inner happiness, which we've all heard about, which might make some people roll their eyes, is actually everything. I think it's people who are addicted to negative emotions that roll their eyes because it means taking responsibility, taking back control of your thoughts. It requires commitment, willingness, open-mindedness, and a regular focus. I was one of those people who rolled their eyes when somebody said, life is really about finding inner happiness, because I kind of knew that it would require a commitment in another direction and to stop projecting my unhappiness outside me. But once I did that, now, I'm a big believer in that because I've seen it work in my own life. And that's why we created the Mind Story Blueprint audios to help build the muscle of inner happiness, awakeness, and aliveness, just to help you, like training wheels on a bike, just stay focused over 66 days on those good thoughts until they become default. And you can see a link to that in the show notes. Because when you cultivate true inner happiness, you naturally begin exploring into the uniqueness that is you, and to bring that uniqueness to the world, regardless of the obstacles. There is something from you. There is some essence of you that nobody else can bring to the world, which is very much needed, especially now. And if you're zoning out, eating too much, watching too many shows, and being the Dead Sea, we will miss you. We will miss that which is you as part of the contribution to the overall evolution of humankind, literally. Now, for some people, the idea of finding that uniqueness, contributing it, the idea of evolving, the idea of showing up and risking rejection and failure and mistakes or injury and offering themselves to the world seems quite overwhelming and stressful. I know I have felt that way. Wow, I need to find something unique. I need to create something. I need to build some skills. I need to have something already going in order to get out on this playing field called life. I can't come empty-handed or without any skills, right? But what I want to suggest is that you actually find it, find your creations, find your skills by being in the game, by showing up, by being willing to just get out on the playing field in the uncertainty of it all, where it might not always be comfortable, but it's alive and awake. It's where you can actually be seen by life. Like life is the coach of the game. And he's noticed, hey, you're there. You showed up. You're out there. You're playing. You're fumbling along. Kudos to you. You're not in the stands anymore. That's all we need. For example, for years, I worked with emerging leaders and new entrepreneurs who'd say, oh, yeah, I just want to be in a leadership role or a business owner because I want to be happy. And I warned them that the emotion of happy, based on that thing coming true, not useful. The most useful emotions that you'd want to cultivate with your thoughts are inspiration, willingness, passion, like a passion for growth, the willingness to be in uncertainty and lack of security and uncomfortable because you're new at it, the willingness to fail, knowing that you'll still be an okay person, even if you do. That's not happiness. That's not that contented thing. That's not comfort. Now, many of us who are willing to put ourselves out there have found a way to be happy in the pain, in the discomfort, to understand that the pain and the discomfort and the grind and the work is on purpose, and that makes us happy. So it's rewiring the program, the mind story. It's the happiness based on internal, intrinsic choices rather than on the results and circumstances that life gives you. You have control over the former and none over the latter. Because that stance is ultimately helping us fulfill the deep purpose within our life to continually flow and move and grow, which helps all humanity do that. Because now it's not the externally based happiness that many of us were initially seeking. It's not that happiness you get from eating ice cream or winning that award or owning a Lexus. Nothing wrong with those, it's just different. It's a happiness that comes from using your gifts in the world, working through all the obstacles, the doubts, the fears, the shame, the unresolved pain that cover up the seed of who you really are from reaching towards the sunlight. There's an underlying core of well-being that comes when we expose ourselves to that sunlight as the magnificence that we are with no apology, showing up with all our flaws and asking to be shone down upon anyway in all our uniqueness, precisely because the world is not whole without us. Because happiness doesn't happen because we've achieved something, it's our thought about that achievement. Because some people can achieve things and just disregard it and get on to the next thing and not pat themselves on the back. And I'm sure you've done that. You've achieved something and other people are going, wow, that's amazing. You're like, whatever. And you're like, why didn't that make me happy? Because you didn't have the thought about it making you happy. True well-being is where your entire body, mind, spirit changes for the better. You don't have to achieve anything to have happily ever after. All you need to do is grow you. Life doesn't want a bunch of seeds locked away in dry soil covered over in rocks. It wants fields of flowers and fruits. But you have to do your part. All the ingredients are there. The sunshine and the moisture and the nutrients. But you have to want it. You have to find the willingness to grow. But if you're like me, and probably you are because you're listening to this podcast, there will be a yearning inside of you for more, for growth, for movement, for flow, for aliveness, for awakeness. You will want to let go of your contentedness, let go of your happiness in order to be uncomfortable enough to grow to the next level. And that is the price we're willing to pay for this level of aliveness, awareness, awakeness, and fulfillment of a sense of purpose. And you can look back at this pathway you took years from now, and I think many people will notice a big change in their life because of this time in history. It's creating a bifurcation. not only in the world at large, but within individuals. There is this ascending timeline and a descending timeline. There's this golden age timeline, and there's the other one. So you can look back at your journey and you will see, if you're on the ascending golden age timeline, that it has made you more of the true you. That is, as long as you don't use it as an excuse to quit because you're not feeling happy and you're going by that old mind story, that old program that tells you what happiness is, that instead you've rewritten the mind story, given happiness a new definition, where you will find yourself on that journey on the ascending timeline where you're flowing and unfolding and finding out what you're really made of, and therefore naturally helping others do the same just by being you. Because think about all the inventions, like all the ways of being, all the unique things that come into existence, especially during and after a challenging time in history. Necessity is the mother of invention. We're on the verge of this renaissance. Look around you. If you're really looking, you'll see all kinds of new things flowering in an amazing way. Everything we get to experience and enjoy and consume and be in wonder over is something that came from human creativity and is because of the people that went before us that risked evolving, risked growing, risked going beyond just surviving. So where to start? Well, if you haven't already done so, do try the Explore Your Passions worksheet, which is a free download in the free tab of mindstoryacademy.com. You can go through this whole process to really discover what's this next phase of your creative life, which will usher in the spring of your creative life in a really amazing way. The second place to look for what's next in your life to explore, if you're unsure, is who do you feel compelled to pay attention to, where you kind of admire them, maybe even feel envious of them. Use that admiration or that envy in a good way. Whatever they're doing is something important for you and this next phase. Maybe not so much exactly what they're doing or how they're doing it, but who they're being. Something in there is meant to be an inspiration for you. I remember being dragged by a friend to a reading of a new fiction novelist. The story sounded fascinating and the author seemed so alive and had this awakeness and awareness that I really envied. I drove home that night with my friend telling her, I'm so envious. But she didn't feel envious at all. I thought, oh, really? How could that be? She said, well, that's because you're meant to do that. Yeah, right. After a year of disbelieving her, humming and hawing and feeling envious of other authors, I just got to work. 2 years later, my first novel came out. Was it a New York Times bestseller? No. Was it a lot of work? Oh, yes. Did it cost a lot to create and promote? Mm-hmm. Did some people love it? Yes, they did. Did I get some great reviews? Some mediocre reviews and some criticism? Of course I did. Do I re-look at it sometimes and cringe at the writing? Yes. I'm a much better writer now, or so I hope, but I would never have gotten there if I didn't write that book in the first place. It taught me. You can't improve if you're not willing to get out on the playing field. So think of something in your life where you envied someone else or really admired someone else. And as a result, you chose to get out there and play, to try it out, to fumble along, to improve bit by bit, to try instead of just staying on the sidelines. Because if you did it once in your past, you can do it again with whatever you're tempted to try or to improve on now. Because if you are having a habit of continuously listening to that which is within you, that voice that is within you that is always telling you where to go next, if you'll listen, whether it's to get up, start writing or making videos or dancing or going after that job or building that business or having that family or building that house, or just working on yourself, doing the inner work to become a better version of you. And even if everyone is watching you fumble along and making critical comments, I would say the people who are criticizing you, it's probably because they're just envious that they are not out there at least giving it a try. It can be threatening to see someone break out and break free and start really living their life if the other person is like dad and they're not willing to do that. It can make them very uncomfortable. And even if you're the only one out on the playing field trying and everyone is saying you're crazy, you will never regret having lived your life purpose, following this inner wise voice, pursuing being alive and awake and aware to what's truly important. And nobody else can tell you what that is. I know you know that, but sometimes we look to other people. What should I do next? Nobody else can give you advice on what you need to do, but you will know if you truly choose to listen, if you're willing to see the truth. So stop telling yourself that you don't know how and you can't figure it out and you're confused. Just ask yourself this question: what do I need to do to be more alive and awake in my life right now and for the rest of my life? So that's your challenge for this week, everyone. Give it a try. Okay, that's it for today. Do check out the Explore Your Passions worksheet, which is a free download to help you get past many of the blind spots that lots of us have to seeing what's right for us in our lives right now. It's in the free tab of goldenagetimeline.com, or you can see the direct link that's in the show notes. Also, do check out our latest conspiracy fantasy fiction, Heliotropus, winner of 4 awards and a bestseller in time travel fiction. You'll find that on Amazon or on the homepage of goldenagetimeline.com. In the meantime, please hit like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so, because it does help others find this content. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, and bye for now.